How to tell if it's real love or just a chemical crush. We're going to dive into this conversation today. Now, I'll be candid with you. This video was birthed out of a conversation I had with a friend of mine. And we were talking about the difference between dopamine love and serotonin love. Now, I want to be candid with you. What I'm about to share with you is my perceptions. This isn't based on facts. It's based on what I've read over the years, what I've experienced personally. So don't take this as a statement of science. This is just merely my perceptions. But when I was talking to her about the difference between dopamine love and serotonin love, I was reflecting upon how frequently women can be bombarded with by men something known as love bombing. And love bombing is that exaggerated expression of feelings towards someone, usually triggered by lust or limerence. Now, lust is pretty obvious, but I'll share it with you. It's that physical desire to connect with someone. And limerence oftentimes is an exaggerated infatuation with a person, oftentimes putting someone up on a pedestal. And when a man puts a woman up on a pedestal, or quite frankly, when a woman puts a man up on a pedestal, we can exaggerate our feelings about a person because we've now created a space where somebody represents greater value, greater worth than our own individual worth. And so if you're a man or woman, if you're a man watching this, have you love bombed a woman? Have you been exaggerated when it comes to your feelings towards someone? I know I have. I'm sure if you're a man watching this, you've experienced that. And if you're a woman watching this, I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but I'm going to suppose that you might have at least once experienced something that was an exaggerated feeling. So we're going to talk about what it feels like in your body to experience dopamine love or serotonin love. And serotonin love, at least the way I've observed it, comes from a place of something calm. It's not exaggerated. It's not butterflies in your stomach. In fact, you feel very grounded. You feel secure. So, what does dopamine feel like? It feels like I can't stop thinking about this person. I'm thinking about them constantly. You want them in your life. You literally can't be apart from them. You're almost experiencing it from a premise of you need to feel tethered to this person. Otherwise, now you're going to feel tethered because you feel that extreme excitement. You feel that sexual desire towards them. And dopamine is very much similar to crack cocaine or some other drug that's designed to get you high. And when you're experiencing that, there's a good chance this relationship might be starting off on the wrong foot. Now, I suspect you already know this, but if you're hearing this for the first time, be careful of the butterflies in the stomach. More importantly, be careful of wanting that type of feeling. In fact, in many cases, I've observed in the dating environment today, people are so desperately wanting that chemical rush, that dopamine hit, to believe that this might be someone worth pursuing. It might be someone worth investing in. And that's sadly because we've been indoctrinated to believe that attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection equals relationship success. If you've been watching my channel for a while, I talk about this incessantly. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of great first dates don't go anywhere, because there isn't this instant rush of lust or limerence, or worse, an insecure attachment towards another person. See, if you're not familiar with insecure love attachment, I highly recommend reading books like Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. Read the books Wired for Love by Dr. Stan Tatkin, or read the book Learning Love, is it Learning Love? Learning Love by Thais Gibson. Highly recommend checking out those books. All the books I recommend are listed below in the Jonathon Recommend books. See, what God, I keep saying oftentimes. Well, it's because it happens so frequently. It's often that people are experiencing an insecure attachment with another person, believing it's love. But what does serotonin-based love feel like? I know this because, folks, I'm experiencing this for the first time in my life. And that's why I wanted to get on this video to talk about this, because serotonin love feels like I can be myself and I can breathe. I can be myself and I can breathe. Now, the reason why I say I can be myself, it feels calm. It feels centered. I'm not climbing the walls. I'll be candid with you. In past relationships, when I was apart from someone, I was climbing the walls. I was feeling very anxious, believing that that was love. And so I want you to sit with your body and ask yourself the difference between the feeling of I can't stop thinking about them versus I can be myself and I can breathe. When you're experiencing serotonin love, it feels calm, it feels grounded, it feels present. You're not climbing, as I said earlier, you're not climbing the walls. That might be an exaggeration, but of course I've experienced that. So that's how it will feel inside your body. It'll feel calm, or it feels like anxiety. Now, you can ask yourself some questions right from the very beginning. You should ask yourself the following couple questions. Is this excitement or is this alignment? Can someone write that down? Is this excitement or is it alignment? You see, excitement has that over-exaggerated feeling to it. Alignment feels calm. What does alignment feel like? You share the same values. You have the same relationship vision. Your lifestyles are actually compatible with one another. And more importantly, you're beginning to observe behavior of emotional maturity. How do you recognize emotional maturity? How do you feel that you're in alignment with that? First, you have to look at your own life. Have you healed from your past relationships? Does fear, the past hurt, or even your fantasy of a relationship exceed your desire, your capacity, your vision for a relationship? See, sadly, I've witnessed so many men and women equally in spaces of still hung up on a past relationship, hurting from a past relationship, or maybe they have fantasy about what they can attract in a relationship. Our fantasies, which is our ego, our past hurts, and our fears can block our capacity to love. See, alignment comes from a very grounded place. Excitement comes from a fantasy perspective. Second question you may want to ask yourself, am I being pulled towards this person or am I choosing this person? I want you to sit with that for a second. Am I being pulled? Do I feel this pull towards this person? Or do I feel like I want to take a step forward towards this person? These are very nuanced feelings. This can be very tricky because when we're in a state of excitement, we believe it's real love when it could actually be an unhealthy chemical connect. Well, when I say unhealthy, dopamine isn't healthy or unhealthy, but it might not be grounded in real love. And then ask yourself this question. Do I feel anxiety or do I feel calm? I want you to think about, what does it feel like just hearing that? Just hearing the idea. You know, butterflies. What do you think about butterflies in your stomach? Oh my God, I want butterflies. I want butterflies. That's anxiety. What does calm feel like? It feels like you're standing on the ground. You feel secure. You want to be with this person, but you're not attached to the outcome. See, the minute we become attached to the outcome, we turn into crazy human beings. You may want to study Buddhism. The Buddhist philosophy is non-attachment. And they say, I believe they say, all suffering comes from an attachment to an outcome. So use those reflective prompts. I'm going to repeat that again. Is this excitement or is it alignment? Am I being pulled or am I choosing? Or lastly, do I feel anxiety or do I feel calm? Now, I want to share this with everybody because, as I said in the beginning of this broadcast, I'm experiencing what I believe is serotonin love. In fact, as we're speaking today, my sweetheart has been out of town for a week, and I'm not climbing the walls. In fact, I'm not even missing her. Now, you might be going, well, Jonathon, you're not missing her while she's been out of town? See, when you're in a serotonin-based relationship, when you're in a secure relationship, missing comes from a place of fear. I don't fear this relationship. Would I like her in my presence? Absolutely. Would I like to hug her and kiss her? Absolutely. But because I feel grounded in this relationship, certainly I enjoyed speaking to her while she's been out of town, but I'm also doing my own life. You see, when you are in a secure, grounded, serotonin-based relationship, you appreciate this person is in your life. I want you to think about the word appreciation, how powerful that is. In fact, when you appreciate someone, you can certainly, I want to say, I do miss her, but I don't miss her. I don't know if that's making sense. Like, while I would like her in my presence, while I miss our conversations, certainly, I'm also living in my sovereignty. It's something I talk about in my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. Again, my book is listed below, selflovethebook.com. When you're in a grounded place, you appreciate the person in your life. You come from a heart-centered place of appreciating them. How did this happen? Let me just be candid with you. On our first date, there wasn't off-the-charts chemistry. In fact, we weren't really each other's type. But we got to know each other on both an intellectual and emotional level. And during the course of 10 days of phone calls, we began seeing the alignment between the two of us. We liked the way each other thought. We asked each other these deep probing questions because we weren't attached to the outcome of dating. We just wanted to get to know each other as human beings. You know, sadly, dating today, most humans do a terrible job or a poor job of actually getting to know another human being, getting to know, how do they feel about certain things? I think it's important to talk about your past, talk about, how did you get to where you are today? How did you get to where you are today? And find out everything about their past relationships, about their family of origin, about their professional life till the point you met them. See, I want you to think about something. For those of us that are in our 50s or 60s, we've had 50 years or 60 years of life before meeting someone. I know I had 60 years of life before I met my beloved. There's a whole life she knows nothing about. So I think and she has a whole life. By the way, she's in her 60s as well. She'll kill me for saying that. But she has a whole life. And I think we have to, how do we know where someone is at today if we don't know their past? So talking about, how did we get here today? Talking about where we are today. How do we feel about each other in the moment? And most importantly, for those that have a long-term mating strategy, it's critically important to talk about, where do you want to go in this relationship? And that's what we do quite a bit with each other. In fact, we spend quite a bit of time talking about, how did we get here? Where are we, and where do we want to go together? In fact, we spend more time in the latter two than we do the first, because we did our due diligence with one another. I know about her marriage. I know about her 2 previous relationships before me. She knows about my marriage and my 2 previous relationships. In fact, I have a new theory. 4th time is the charm. I had my 3 relationships before meeting my beloved. How many of you have had 3 relationships and are still looking? I'm going to tell you, 4th time is the charm. How do you really know if it's love or a chemical crush? I want you to think about this way. I want you to sit in stillness. Sit in stillness. Really check in with your heart. Really check in with your heart. If you can say from a calm place, wow, I really love this person. Wow, I trust this person. Wow, they're my best friend. Wow, they want to build a life with me. Wow, we have amazing physical intimacy. If you can say all of that from a calm, grounded place, then there's a good chance you might be experiencing love. See, sadly, many of us experience storms in relationship, that anxiety, those butterflies, all those things that create agitation within ourselves. And when we're experiencing that, we can convince ourselves this is love. And what happens during that space of dopamine, love? We overlook red flags. We turn red flags and paint them green. We wear rose-colored glasses. We miss all the cues when we're not operating from a grounded, calm, secure place. Listen, I would love it if I could wave a magic wand for everyone watching and I could say you could experience this. This didn't happen to either one of us overnight. It took a tremendous amount of personal development, self-help, spiritual work, and therapy to get to a place where we could feel grounded within ourselves. Remember, I said earlier about self-love? Self-love is the grounding space to enter into a romantic relationship if you want a juicy, delicious, healthy, happy relationship. See, transactional relationships are a dime a dozen. People experiencing today, there's lots of hooking up. There's certainly friends with benefits. There's lots of situationships. There's almost the majority of relationships today are casual that are non-married. And those serious relationships, they have a plan. And you know when that plan begins? Roughly about 3 to 6 months into a relationship. If you've reached the 3 to 6 month mark and you're not talking about a future together, there's a good chance you might have experienced a dopamine rush to enter into a relationship. You might be stuck in a relationship that's misaligned. And let me tell you, for the women watching this, men can be very lazy. They nest into mediocre relationships. And to the guys listening to this, I'm inviting you to step up your game and start studying the books that are behind me, to start really exploring a relationship from a more heart-centered, grounded place. And as I said before, those relationships that have massive friendship, have amazing romance and intimacy, and also are leading through a grounded partnership, those are the relationships that have the greatest chance for success. And they can step into serotonin-based love versus that dopamine. And if you want to do some research on it, Google dopamine-based love or serotonin-based love. And you'll find, I think you might find that you would prefer to have a serotonin-based love. And as I said before, it's calm, it's grounded, it's secure. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? I'd like to hear your thoughts on what I just shared. Do me a favor, post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me. Join my group. Follow me on social media. Get all the books I recommend, all listed below.